bad ideas, and again, this ugly streak.
Well, you look
ugly streak of anti-Semitism.
Who's the most popular politician on the left?
AOC? I don't know.
One of, but who's Bernie? Bernie is
Bernie, yeah.
Bernie is. I mean, he's not a capitalist. You know.
No, he's not, and he's also not president.
He's not. But
never would be.
But neither is Mamdani.
No. No, but he will, trust me, he will be featured in the campaign commercials.
But they're going to feature people. They boogeyman everybody.
Yeah, but you don't have to boogeyman him. He does it to himself.
Bill Maher is back once again with another fearless and razor-sharp critique that's already stirring up political conversations. This time, his focus shifts toward the Democratic Party and one of its most talked-about rising figures, Zoran Mani. In his latest monologue, Maher digs deep into what he believes are the cracks beginning to form within the Democratic National Committee, questioning whether the party's current path is sustainable. He argues that the growing influence of Mani's brand of democratic socialism could reshape the party's identity, and not necessarily for the better. Maher's tone is both candid and analytical, warning that if Democrats continue moving in this direction, they may risk alienating moderates and losing sight of the broader electorate. It's an unfiltered and thought-provoking breakdown of the party's internal struggles, delivered with Maher's signature wit and insight. So, buckle up, this one isn't just worth watching, it's worth thinking about.
It seems to me that there are two pillars that this country is founded on. One is democracy, and one is capitalism, free markets. And it seems like one party wants to get rid of one, and the other party wants to get rid of the other, right? The Republicans are not that, democracy is just not number one on their list. It just isn't. It isn't. It's behind Christianity and a few other things. And the Democrats, I mean, I read these, 74% are for democratic socialism. Only 16% favor capitalism. Is this going to be a country that I don't recognize in 5 to 10 years if we don't have these two pillars?
Let's get one thing straight. It's not that Republicans have a problem with democracy itself. They simply believe in fairness. For years, they've watched as left-leaning media outlets and their loyal supporters relentlessly targeted them, especially former President Donald Trump. From unverified reports to sensationalized headlines, the pattern has been consistent: portray the Republican Party in the worst possible light. These ongoing attacks have deeply eroded trust in journalism and widened America's political divide. So the question now becomes, if misinformation and false narratives have caused so much harm, isn't it only fair to hold those responsible accountable? After all, a true democracy doesn't thrive on deception or bias. It survives on truth, transparency, and equal treatment under the law. And that's the standard every citizen, regardless of political belief, should expect.
If we don't, I mean, where are the Democrats going with this? If Mamdani is the face of the Democrats on the East Coast and Katie Porter is the face on the West Coast, I don't know if that's great politically for that party.
Bill Maher raises some legitimate and deeply relevant questions here. Both Zoran Mamdani and Katie Porter are rising political figures whose ideologies have ignited intense debate about the future direction of the country. Mamdani, a proud democratic socialist, advocates for sweeping reforms such as rent freezes, publicly owned grocery stores, free public transit, and higher taxes on large corporations and the wealthy. His ideas may sound inspiring to some, but to others, they suggest an economy dominated by government control. Meanwhile, Katie Porter champions social inclusivity, supporting policies like allowing transgender-identifying men to compete in women's sports, a stance she frames as a matter of equality and fairness. On the surface, both politicians project an image of progress and compassion. But beneath that rhetoric lies a far more complex reality, one that forces Americans to confront tough questions about fairness, sustainability, and the balance between compassion and practicality. Maher's analysis doesn't attack. It challenges viewers to think critically about what kind of future they want for America.
New York is New York. It's definitely it's the media capital, the financial capital. It is a bellwether like no other city is in this country. So don't tell me that who the mayor of New York is doesn't matter.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second. Do you think, let's say, on the seize the means of production, do you think the mayor, that one person, if he is a democratic socialist, do you think that he would have the power and influence to be able to usher in socialism?
He definitely has the power and influence to elect J.D. Vance or whoever is the Republican candidate next time. It is a walking commercial for the Republican Party
I think
nationally.
the Republicans are going to...
When you let the Democrats, socialists, and now they're actually calling themselves socialists, when you let them take over a major American city, this is what you get. The state-run grocery stores, which worked so well in Cuba and the Soviet Union and Venezuela.
Did you catch what Maher said right at the beginning? He made a sharp point. Electing Zoran Mandani could effectively hand the presidency to J.D. Vance, or whichever Republican candidate the GOP decides to run. And honestly, he's not wrong. Many voters understand the real-world consequences of leaning too far toward socialism, and they're not eager to take that risk. America's political pendulum swings fast when one side pushes too far left. The other side inevitably gains momentum. Maher's argument is simple, but piercing. If the Democrats fully embrace figures like Mandani, whose policies reflect strong socialist ideals, they risk alienating the moderate and independent voters who ultimately decide elections. That's not just a theory, it's a reality backed by decades of political history. In that light, Mandani's rise isn't just a local New York story, it's a warning sign for the entire Democratic Party.
Just bad ideas, and again, this ugly streak.
Well, you look
streak of anti-Semitism.
Who's the most popular politician on the left?
AOC? I don't know.
One of, but who's Bernie? Bernie is
Bernie, yeah.
Bernie is. I mean, he's not a capitalist.
No, he's not, and he's also not president.
He's not. But
never would be.
But neither is Mamdani.
No, but he will, trust me, he will be featured in the campaign commercials.
But they're going to feature people. They boogeyman everybody.
Yeah, but you don't have to boogeyman him. He does it to himself.
Exactly, Mandani ends up becoming his own biggest obstacle. His vision of a socialist-style America might sound appealing in theory, promising fairness, equity, and government support for all, but in practice, it raises major concerns about freedom, stability, and sustainability. Beyond the policies, Mandani has also found himself in controversy over outspoken views on Israel and a series of divisive posts that have polarized voters. These comments may energize a small group of loyal supporters, but they alienate a much larger audience who view them as extreme or disconnected from reality. In today's hypersensitive political climate, perception often matters more than intention, and Mandani's rhetoric frequently overshadows his goals. To many Americans, his ideas simply seem too radical, too risky, and too detached from the practical realities of governance. And that makes his path toward national leadership far more complicated than he might imagine.
But they'll do it regardless. Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton, Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, but
they make anybody into boogeyman.
It has.
I think it was
just have more weight when it's real. I mean, when you can really show.
What's truly interesting is that many of the liberal figures who claim to be victims of conservative criticism have actually created their own problems. Take Gavin Newsom, for example. His decline in popularity didn't come from a right-wing conspiracy. It stemmed from his own leadership failures during California's devastating wildfires. When the Palisades burned, Newsom appeared completely unprepared, with too few fire trucks available and water resources redirected to protect fish habitats rather than homes. Then there's Nancy Pelosi, whose reputation took a major hit, not because of her opponents, but because of reports alleging insider trading that earned her millions. It's almost ironic the so-called liberal elite continue to claim they're unfairly attacked, yet their own questionable decisions do more damage to their image than any critic could. In the end, their downfall isn't built on misinformation. It's built on their own action.
This must be horrible for a guy like you, who you spent your whole life talking about how government tries to do too much, which it does, and spends too much. And here you have Trump, who is the Republican, who is aggrandizing more power than anybody, as we just talked about. And on the other side, you have the guy running in New York, Mandami, right? Okay, who's like a straight up communist. I mean, he is. He talks about, you know, the things that communists say. I mean, he wants free grocery stores, free buses.
I want him to win.
You want him to win?
Yeah.
Mandani's message has clearly resonated with younger Democratic voters, but much of that support comes from idealism rather than understanding. Many of these younger voters haven't lived through or studied the harsh realities of communism. To them, socialism sounds like a dream equality for all. Wealth distributed fairly, and power placed in the hands of the people. On paper, it's a beautiful concept, but in practice, history tells a darker story, one marked by economic collapse, government repression, and the loss of personal freedom. From the Soviet Union to Cuba and Venezuela, countless nations have tried and failed under the weight of socialist systems. Yet, the allure of equality continues to attract the youth who see it as a compassionate alternative to capitalism. What they often overlook is that behind those promises lies control, censorship, and the destruction of individual ambition, the very qualities democracy seeks to protect.
Every 20 years or so.
Wait.
We need every 20 years or so, we need a conspicuous, confined experiment with socialism so we can crack it up again. Socialist slogan used to be, workers of the world unite, you have nothing to lose but your chains. The new socialist slogan is, trust us, this time it won't be a mess.
And that's exactly the point. History has made it crystal clear that socialism fails far more often than it succeeds. Yet many young Democrats seem determined to give it another chance, as if their version will somehow be the one that finally works. But the truth is, we don't need to repeat the same mistakes to learn from them. The evidence is already written across decades of history, economic crises, food shortages, political censorship, and societal collapse in countries that once embraced the dream of socialism. The pattern never changes. Lofty promises of equality that eventually crumble into loss of freedom and opportunity. Instead of romanticizing failed ideologies, it's time to appreciate that capitalism, while imperfect, allows innovation, choice, and upward mobility. These are the values that drive progress and protect individual freedom. The very things socialism has repeated.
So, when the post-war Labour government in Britain was about to get started, one of their leading lights was a socialist named Nurian Bevan. He said, what could go wrong? He said, we have a nation bedded on coal, surrounded by fish. It would take an organizational genius to have a shortage of either. In 3 years, they had a shortage of both. That's socialism.
So, you see, Bill Maher is absolutely right. If the Democrats were to put forward a ticket featuring Zoran Mandani and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in 2028, it would likely spell political disaster. Sure, such a pairing might energize a portion of the far-left youth base, but it would alienate moderates, independents, and working-class voters, the people who actually decide elections. These voters have lived through the consequences of extreme policies and understand how quickly radical ideologies can damage an economy and divide a nation. The older generation, especially, would see through the slogans and recognize that this kind of ticket would lead to instability, not progress. What the Democrats need now isn't more ideological purity, it's balance, pragmatism, and leadership that appeals to the center. A Mandani AOC ticket may sound bold in theory, but in practice, it could hand victory to the GOP without...
It's not about the big crowds that come out to you when you're talking in a festival or wherever they are. I think it's because I think Bernie showed up at Coachella. That must have been fun for the fans. It's who shows up on Election Day. And I just don't see that's the ticket. I mean, Cory Booker, I know you've worked with him. I like Cory a lot from my home state of New Jersey. Made a speech for 25 hours. Again, just whacking each other off. This is just not what's going to get the job done.
At this moment, what the Democratic Party truly needs is a leader grounded in reality, someone who understands the everyday struggles of ordinary Americans. For too long, the party has been caught in echo chambers, debating abstract social issues while voters are worried about real-life concerns like rent, groceries, job security, and the rising cost of living. The truth is, most Americans aren't waking up thinking about ideological battles they're trying to survive. To regain the public's trust, Democrats need to step out of their political bubbles and start listening to people with diverse opinions, not just those who echo their own beliefs. They need a leader who can bridge the gap between progressive ideals and practical solutions, someone who connects emotionally, economically, and realistically with the heartbeat of the nation. And with that, we wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.